it's that time. It's getting late. It's time for a new Hemp Times to regulate. So as many of you know, the FDA was here next week, and we have a special guest joining us today. The Project CBD's program director gave expert testimony and commentary at the FDA hearing, and she's here to tell us about her experience at the FDA. Zoe, are you there?
Hi, guys. How are you?
Hey. Yes, she is.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us.
Zoe.
So, tell us a little bit about the FDA hearing, just a brief overview.
Yeah, for sure. So the FDA had a public hearing last Friday, May 31st, to talk about how to regulate CBD in cannabis. They have a lot of questions that you can find on their website. Prompt is 4 pages long, which is like the best homework assignment ever if you're a nerd.
I am. Go on.
Yeah, right. I know. Yeah. I was just looking at your Instagram for the first time, and I was like, yeah, okay. And they're looking for information about health and safety, manufacturing and product quality, and regulation. And this was sort of the first time that the public has been invited to give testimony about any of those subjects. And so I was one of 110 people to speak on Friday. It was a long day.
Wow.
But it was
that sounds amazing. So what type of people spoke at this event?
I mean, a lot of different kinds of people, mostly industry people though. They had everyone sectioned off into different categories as far as type of person. So there were scientists and producers and lawyers, and other and media. So it was a pretty wide variety of people, but most people who were directly involved in the cannabis industry or involved in cannabis activism in one way or another.
It's so hard to believe that this is the first time the FDA has asked the public what they thought about a cannabis product. I think the last time they had a public hearing on cannabis was 1937 when they banned it. They're like, everybody, let us know how illegal we should make marijuana. That was 1937. Seems like they should be coming to us more with our feedback. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, you'd think. It's only a couple $1 billion.
Wow. So, I read in an article that the hearing was, quote, at times quite absurd with outlandish claims and inconsistent messaging and an undercurrent of potential safety concerns. Would you say that this is accurate?
I feel like that's painting it a little bit dramatically.
Okay.
I would say that... I mean, I can see where they come from, but it's also anyone who's involved in cannabis science understands contradictory information is comes with the territory.
I like that.
Yeah, and there were definitely at least one group of activists that were very anti-cannabis.
Wow. Which one was that?
Yeah.
Moms Against Pots?
So we can publicly shame them.
No,
they had to make America great again.
Moms Against Pot?
No. These women, these people, as much as I don't agree with what they were espousing, they lost their kids. And
I see.
that's all we can,
Okay.
you can say I am so sorry. I'm so sorry. And in the meantime, here's all this evidence.
What did they lose their kids to?
Mostly to suicide after consuming cannabis.
Oh man, this is why. Well, guys, this is why I'm doing. Hold on, Randy. Yeah, this is why I do what I do, man.
Yeah.
Because it's important, as a clinician, I want to make sure that people know how to deal with their emotions. So they're blaming something else. Oh, that's sad. That's sad.
Yeah, it's really sad. And that's the thing. It's there's this whole unexplored area of mental health that you guys are working really hard on that correlates cannabis use with increased psychosis and sort of paint it in this really negative light. And so they actually spoke several times. They got a lot of speakers onto the docket. They had doctors and mothers and all sorts of stuff. So there was that there. But I think like by and large, it was pretty boring. There were a lot of
Their response was boring. Their rebuttal was boring.
No,
and they
the
were
whole
saying
thing
that
was boring. She was saying.
the whole panel was boring.
I mean, it was like 9 hours long or 10 hours long.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
So there wasn't
I mean,
there wasn't like a guy who like dressed like in a marijuana leaf print suit and waved a flag. It was all.
oh, there was one of those, definitely. Yeah. He was sitting in the corner though. He didn't testify.
So, you know, what's so, Randy, do you have any questions for her about CBD? You know, you're out there in the woods, probably thinking clearer than us here in the city.
Not much
You
more
see
clear,
clearer.
but right.
Any questions you have, Randy, about the FDA
Or comments?
Well,
or comments?
Well, I just want to, keep close observation to the evolution and what's going on. I'm not really sure how to cast an opinion at one way or the other, especially when you brought up the moms and the situations that they are automatically jumping on losing children and not sure what factors led to that. And of course, the big gorilla in the room is that bag of Chiba that they found underneath Jimmy's pillow, once he was gone.
Right.
And maybe that was just, so, yeah. So, it's interesting, and I'm glad we have this honest conversation where we can bring things like this totally up.
I actually want to look them up more and see, kind of learn more about them.
I couldn't hear anything he said, so
okay, it's all right.
I was like, "Who's talking?"
All right,
Sorry
it's all right. So
okay.
Randy was just talking about having a forum to be able to discuss these issues, and it's terrible what happens to some people or anyone who loses a loved one. And I think this gets back to some of the health and safety issues around these products, and whether it's a THC product or CBD product, it can still be contaminated with stuff. And so, so Zoe, I would ask you, what would you say was the number one sort of objective concern about CBD products? Was it the price?
Totally.
Was it the safety of the products? In your opinion,
It was, I think the most interesting presentations at the FDA were by the people who are doing studies about contaminants in CBD, like publicly available or things that are available online, CBD products. And they, we've all seen those studies that are like, hey, CBD vape cartridges have like nasty stuff in them. And it was just like even more data showing that. One of the best presentations was by Dr. Michelle Peace from Virginia Commonwealth University, and she is a toxicologist that focuses generally on e-cigarettes, but she started looking at CBD cartridges and cartridge fluid, and just found like a bunch of nasty stuff, like synthetic cannabinoids that are potentially dangerous, and like CBD things that are labeled as CBD but actually contain significant amounts of THC, and it's just like, it was interesting because she was one of maybe
they find like toenails and stuff.
Well, no, it's actually wait, hold on. This is actually something Jahan and I we released a consumer warning about the Virginia Commonwealth study, and we did that in November, because the study that they did, they found all of these contaminants in it, and things that were actually
in the CBD oil.
Yeah, that were actually found in K2. So people who were, well, listen to this.
Might be more like adulterants purposely added versus accidentally.
Oh
added.
my God!
That's
the CEO of the
like sabotage. Is that what you're saying?
Probably.
What?
Product sabotage?
No. The manufacturers purposely added something in there to make for product differentiation, so to give the CBD a bit of a spice or a kick. That's what Jan is talking about.
Sabotage.
Well, but he actually came back. The CEO came back and said no, that it was sabotaged. So let's call the truth on that CEO, because we actually read the article about it and how he actually came out and said that he thought that it was just some strange, it wasn't real basically, or else it had been sabotaged, and so that whole product was unreal. But we did a consumer warning, because this is our concern as well around CBD products. And especially as a clinician, when I have a patient who's trying to self-medicate with CBD because they've heard all of these crazy claims that most of them, might not be real, but a lot of them are, that they're using products that actually could exacerbate their anxiety instead of helping their anxiety because they have contaminants in it. So I just get worried about this product safety issue. And how do we kind of get a handle on that? And I'm hoping the FDA hearing was really focused a lot on that.
Man, I wish I could say that it was, but like I don't know. Like reading the prompt, I figured that that's what they wanted. They wanted a way forward. Like that's what they're asking for explicitly over and over again. Like they're looking for a way forward to regulate this so it's safe for people. And I was like, okay, like I'll put my research cap on and like try and come up with a solution. And I was actually really surprised that many people didn't do the same thing. Wow. Like people were like, oh, just regulate it like a supplement. When in the prompt itself, the FDA is like, here are the reasons that THC and CBD cannot be regulated as a supplement. Which is like primarily because they've been legalized as pharmaceutical drugs in the form of like Marinol and Epidiolex.
Right.
And so it's like we have to think more creatively about how to regulate this stuff and make sure that like, consumer safety is at the heart of it. Like the other big question they had for a lot of people was like, do you think that widespread legalization will have a negative impact on pharmaceutical research into cannabinoids? Right. Yeah.
That's a good
the
question.
Answer, right? Yeah.
Let's do that for a second. So you have pharmaceutical research like typical drug development, right? Is that
right?
So if you have widespread use of CBD, the pharmaceutical companies are just going to throw up their hands and be like, oh, CBD is widely available. Might as well not make a new opioid. I don't know. I think it might.
That wouldn't be such a bad idea. Take a look at the history of opioids. Look at it. Who got a bad record? You know who the bad kid was in school? Opioid.
Little opioid. Sitting in the back row.
Always picking on CBD.
Yep, always picking on CBD. Late every day for class.
Corner, like
nodding off in the back row.
So I can't believe people would think it would negatively impact pharmaceutical research. I think it would kick people in the pants, because if you could get the CBD stuff's not going to be covered by insurance. It's expensive. Mm-hmm. You don't know what you're getting. There's all these issues. It's like I like getting ibuprofen from my doctor versus buying it. It's cheaper through my pharmacy. I get a higher dose. Don't have to take as many pills. So I don't think it would interfere with drug development. If anything, it would free up money for drug development because they could demonstrate a market. But I have a simple question for you, Zoe. Not so simple maybe, but the 2018 Farm Bill said that hemp is somewhat legal. What did the FDA say anything about the legal status of CBD? Did they come out and be like it's Schedule 1 or it's not?
Yeah, they came out a while ago, pretty much right after the Farm Bill came out, and they were like, hey guys, just so you know, every derivative from cannabis is still a Schedule 1 controlled substance. So like still illegal. And the Farm Bill, in the Farm Bill, they're like, hey, we're legalizing the growing of hemp.
Of hemp, yeah.
Basically everything else that comes after the growing of it, like that's up to the FDA to regulate.
Apple trees are legal, but apples are illegal.
Yeah. Exactly.
Sorry, Randy, you were gonna say something? Sorry.
No, I was just like, that's exactly, Jay, you know what we're going through. So, I mean, that's totally understand.
Yeah, no, and it's crazy because right now in New York, and I'm just going to speak vaguely about it, but in states like New York, they have hemp licenses and hemp applications, and it seems silly, like how are you going to grow a plant, but yet make the use of its final product still illegal? That is ridiculous. So
make clothing out of it, or at least say you're going to make clothing. Huh? I'm going to make shirts. And pants.
If you burn hemp clothing, does it count as dabbing?
This is a smoking outfit. Oh, God. Okay, wait a minute. People are growing hemp for what? What are they growing?
So for the farm bill, Zoe, what are people growing hemp for? Is it for?
Because it's. I just read something about how Mitch McConnell signed on to this, and he signed on to it because the tobacco farmers are dying or something.
Right.
Or like that industry is falling apart, and they need a new farm industry or something.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. I mean, that's a huge part of it, and it's like, I'm sure that Congress passed the Farm Bill with the intent that CBD would be the reason that people grow hemp, CBD extraction. It's just like,
is that the main reason why they're gonna grow hemp? Why did he? I also heard that this bill went through with like everybody just signed on to it, like no one even paid attention, and now it's on the way to becoming law, I guess.
Or is it law? Or what's the status of the
law? It's law.
Okay, so when they start growing this hemp, they're growing this hemp with the intentions of doing what with it?
Man, it doesn't
I'll
say.
tell you tomorrow.
Wait,
what'd you say? I'm sorry, Zoe. What'd you say?
It doesn't say in the Farm Bill what it's for.
Huh. So it doesn't specify textile or use of flower. It's just growing of the plant.
Mm-hmm.
It took Greer Barnes bringing that up for us to figure that out. I swear I've read that bill.
I want to be president.
I didn't even figure that out.
Yeah,
you don't want to be president. You want to be like mayor or something like.
It's pretty notable that in the bill they don't use the phrase industrial hemp. They just use hemp. And for a long time, industrial hemp was in this it was legal, right, to grow industrial hemp for fiber purposes.
Right.
Clothing, textiles.
Clothing, rope, stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And building materials.
But in this version of the bill, they omitted industrial. And so it's like when you're talking about hemp and you explicitly state the level of cannabinoids that make it hemp and therefore legal, like what do you think that the hemp is going to be grown for?
For all of us listening, what is the limit that defines hemp?
0.3% THC, less than or equal to.
And is there a cap on how much CBD you can produce in it? Like you can't produce more than 20% CBD?
No, but genetically I'm sure there is.
Fantastic.
I think the highest I've heard is
the flag made out of hemp?
The original.
That's
Washington straws were made out of hemp.
Yeah, so that's what we want to do. We want to grow hemp so we can make flags. Make these flags in America. Why is the American flag made in China?
At the conference this weekend, Jahan and I actually walked into a house, like a little mini house that was made, and a BMW that was made out of hemp.
I saw those.
14% hemp.
14% hemp, but the house actually used hempcrete.
Wow.
It was
hempcrete.
Yep.
I love that.
And
hempcrete.
And when you
hempcrete.
Lock it up now.
Brilliant.
Oh my God.
Oh man.
My friends, I'm gonna have to sign off, Hemp Nuts.
All right, fellow Hemp Nuts.
I dearly miss you guys, and thank you so much to our listeners.
Thank you,
keep
Randy.
this movement up.
All right.
Please
I'll
listen.
Be back on the air next week.
Please keep listening to the show. We got some findings and fictions for you with the cannabis thing.
So out there and catch us. So tune us.
Randy, we bid you adieu.
Adieu.
Keep rocking, guys. Love you.
Peace.
Love you.
More.
All right.
Zoe, welcome to our show. I hope you're having fun with us.
I am. It's wonderful.
Oh, good. Well, we love the work that you guys are doing at Project CBD. So we really appreciate everything. You guys are committed truly to kind of having such a really positive impact in this cannabis space. We call it the cannabis bonanza because it's so crazy. It just feels like it's a bonanza out there.
There's a topic I want to discuss, but maybe we could do it offline. I don't know. How are we doing on time, do you think?
No. I say just one more.
One more? I wanted to ask you about the federal regulation of marketing and if the FDA is doing anything about that. Because, we see stuff, and I'm going to call them out. I'm going to say there's some questionable practices by MedMen, as covered in JAMA recently on their marketing campaign and what they do. And it kind of, some of this stuff that they're doing reminds me of, those commercials when physicians would endorse like their favorite tobacco product, or youth would wear tobacco branded clothing.
Friggin' opioids. Think about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like what Purdue did.
Was there any mention of the sort of marketing and label claim type stuff?
There wasn't really much discussion of marketing and labeling. I mean, there were some people, but it was like specifically how to label stuff. I think like the foregone conclusion was like any sort of medical claim is going to be prohibited on packaging. But that, yeah, it just wasn't really discussed that much, although it's a huge issue.
Okay. What during this turbulent time with the gray area of the FDA and people having questions about what's in their CBD and trying to figure out the Farm Bill, what are some good resources on Project CBD's website for folks? Are there some articles you'd recommend?
Yeah. I'm actually just about to publish 2 articles, one that is our statement at the FDA, and then another one about how to get involved with the FDA. So they'll be on the front page of the Project CBD website.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Great.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Great. And yeah, so what are you guys, is Project CBD going to be speaking anywhere, coming to town? Do you guys have anything on the calendar?
We're coming to New York. I don't know if we're having an event, but we're coming to New York the last week of June, right before I hear it.
Zoe, we have to have you guys here.
Are you going to be here with the founder, Martin Lee, as well?
Yeah.
Oh my
be there as
God.
well.
Yes. Join us. We're Wednesdays at 4:20. Seriously.
Yeah, if you're here for Wednesday, we should get you in the studio for once. I know you were in town when we did a video for the Center on Mental Health Research. We did that video about Alex Berenson, I believe.
Oh my God.
Or something like that, or the CBD contaminants. That would be great.
And then we're planning on an event in September with the Alchemist Kitchen. And all of that information is coming as well.
Excellent. I think Martin hit me up to give a talk for that. All he said was put this date in your calendar and put a question mark. So that's what's weird about the cannabis industry. Is like I have all these secret events, and then like months go by, and I'm like, why do I have 3 question marks at this hour on this day? All right, folks. Do we have any other questions for
Zoe? Thank you so much again. I really, truly appreciate you coming here today.
It was my pleasure. Thanks so much for having me on.
Thank you for being available, and thank you for covering the FDA hearing. And we look forward to your article. Be sure to send us a link when it comes out.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Take care.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.